Hi, year two. Welcome to day 4 of guided reading, but the third day of our text about Max's new friend. Today we're going to be looking at those slightly more tricky inference questions where we need to really think and work out the answer because it's not exactly given to us in the text. But we'll come on to that later. Hopefully you've all watched the jump in video. Now let's start today's lesson. Let me share my screen. So as we know, we're learning about Max's new friend, and here's Max with his 4 horns, 3 eyes, 2 noses. Okay, and yeah, let's start the lesson. Let's see what our words mean. What do I mean by ordinary? Who can give me a definition for the word ordinary? Pause the video and then tell me through the computer. Well done if you said common or not unusual. If something's ordinary, it's not unusual, it's not rare, it's maybe not special. It's just an ordinary day, nothing exciting happened, just an ordinary day. Remember, you can always describe these words slightly differently, but as long as you're talking about those, when you couldn't say, how was today? Oh, it was really ordinary, yeah. An alien landed and then there was a big Pokemon battle in the classroom. That clearly is not an ordinary day. That would be a spectacular day. Ordinary is almost a bit boring, like just normal. You know? What do I mean by adore? What do I mean by adore? Can you tell me what it means? Can you put it in a sentence? Pause the video now. Well done if you meant to adore something is to love it. Maybe your sentence was, Mr. Wernick adores coffee. All right. Maybe it was Mr. Wernick adores a lovely healthy orange. Okay, not chocolate anymore. I adore now healthy food. So adore means to love. What do I mean by shimmer? What does shimmer mean? Can you put it in a sentence for me? Pause the video now. Well done if you said almost mean sparkle or shine or glimmer in the light. Okay, your jewels are shimmering in the light. The water shimmered as the sun came down on it. So to shimmer means to sparkle, to shine in the light. What do I mean by existed or exist? Can you tell me what I mean by that? Or can you put it in a sentence for me? Because when you can put it in a sentence, it means you've understood it. Because obviously if I said, oh, I went to the shop earlier and I bought some existed, you'd be thinking, what is Mr. Wernick talking about? He clearly does not understand that word. But can you tell me through the computer now? Feel free to pause the video. Well done if you said almost to be alive or to live in the real world. Where does it exist in the real world? Because you'd have to say to exist, if something existed in not the real world, you have to specify that. Pokemon exist in a made up world. You exist, you're all existing right now in the real world. To live, to exist. What do I mean by strange? What do I mean by strange? Well, strange just means, hopefully you're telling me now, or you put it in a sentence. Strange means a bit rare and odd, not normal. That character over there looks a bit strange, he looks a bit scary. Maybe it was Lord Voldemort, okay? He looks strange, hiding in the alleyways at Diagon Alley, all right? So that's what we need to be thinking. Strange just means rare and odd. A little bit strange, that, teacher. Anyway, there are our new words. They're the words we've been learning the last 3 days. There's always slightly different ways to describe a word, but I'm trying to get it in a way that you guys will understand. Anyway, let's carry on with our lesson where we're going to be learning about inference questions, those slightly trickier questions where you need to infer something from the text. My example always might be, well, always is really, Mr. Wernick slammed the door and stormed off. How am I feeling? Well, I'm probably feeling upset or angry or frustrated. If I didn't tell you that, you had to work it out from the fact that I stormed off or I slammed the door. All right, that's what inference is. It's working something out. So let me share my steps to success. The first one is read the question twice. Always with comprehension questions, we read that question twice. Number 2, I underline the key words. Number 3, we use the text, and then we sometimes have to just think. It might say, what do you think the character is feeling? There might not even be a clue in the text, but you have to come up with a sensible answer. And the last thing we need to do is always check your answer. Does it make sense? So here is some text, and here is a question. What words suggest Max's family were not that special? What words suggest that Max's family were not that special? So what word? It says word. That means the answer is going to be one word, not 2 words, not a phrase, one word. And the family were not special. Let me go back to the text because I read it twice and I've underlined it. Max lived at 13 Monster Lane. Nothing to do with being special or not special. His family were like any other ordinary monster family. Ordinary. It's ordinary. Ordinary. That's one word that tells me they weren't particularly special. So what word suggests Max's family were not that special? The answer is ordinary. Let me show you another. Read the question twice. Why do you think Millie was a loud sleeper? Why do you think Lily was a loud sleeper? So now I'm thinking about why do you think Millie was a loud sleeper? Let me go back to the text. Max's dad ate monster pizza. Nothing about Millie. Max's mum adored reading monster books. Nothing about Millie. His sister Millie even snored through both of her noses. His sister Millie even snored through both of her noses. So why do you think Millie was a loud sleeper? She's snoring through both. I think it's because I think she's a loud sleeper because she's snoring through 2 noses, not just one. She snores through 2 noses. That's why she's a loud sleeper. She's snoring, but through 2 noses, so double the loudness probably. Anyway, now does my answer make sense? Why do you think Millie was a loud sleeper? She snored through 2 noses. I think that's a good answer. The last thing to always do, check your answer. Is it sensible? Okay. If I'd written Mum adored reading books, well, that's nothing to do with Millie was a loud sleeper. So always check if your answer is sensible. Right. You have now got 5 questions to have a go at. We're going to do the first 3 together. So you need to pause the video in a second, then unpause, and we will go. Actually, no, we won't. We'll do all the questions together, then I'll go through them at the end. So if you would like to attempt question 1, 2, and 3 now, please pause the video. And once you unpause, I will take you through to question 4 and 5. But the first thing to do, use the text, follow the steps to success, and attempt questions 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. Pause the video. Well done. Now, please attempt question 4 and 5. Brilliant. Well, hopefully you've got answers now in your book for questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because remember, we're not doing worksheets anymore, but you have a nice book and you can write the answers in there. So let's have a look. Question 1. What phrase suggests Max and his friends were not happy? What phrase, so phrase is a group of words, suggests Max and his friends were not happy? Oh, missing a capital M there. Hopefully you all spotted that. So what phrase suggests Max and his friends were not happy? I'm going to go back to the text because it's asking me what phrase in the text. So around here. One day, Max went to meet his friends, Mike and Marty. They were sitting on the blue beach staring at the yellow sea. We're bored, they said. We have nothing to do. So what phrase suggests they're not happy? I think actually, we are bored. We are bored. So what phrase suggests they're not happy? The fact they've shouted or they've said, we're bored. Or maybe you may have written, we have nothing to do. But if you write, we're bored, that is correct. That suggests to me they're not happy. Who's happy when they're bored? Oof. You're not happy, you're bored. So how do I know they're not happy? Well, it tells me they're bored. Question 2. What is interesting about the yellow sea? And this, I think, is quite a tough question. Quite, because sometimes you see questions like this, and I don't think they're particularly good, but we need to think that sometimes it might ask us something about the text specifically. So what do you think is interesting about a yellow sea? Well, this one's, I'm not going to go back to the text for this. What's interesting about a yellow sea? Well, is a sea normally yellow? No, the sea's normally blue. So what's interesting about a yellow sea is the fact that the sea, our sea, is normally blue. Our sea is normally blue. So that's what's interesting about it. It's the author, Bragg Herzog and Carla Daly, trying to create this different world of yellow sea and blue sand. So what's interesting about the yellow sea is that our sea is normally blue. So that's why it's interesting. Question 3. How do I know it was not raining? How do I know in the story it was not raining? How do I know it was not raining? Well, let me go back to the text. It was a lovely day. The 2 green suns were shining brightly, making the blue sand dazzle and the yellow sea shimmer. It was a lovely day. Well, I think that's probably enough of an answer to suggest it wasn't raining, because most people say when they say it's a lovely day, it means it's not raining and the sun is out. So how do I know it was how do I know it was not raining? Because in the text it says it was a lovely day. It was a lovely day. Ooh, tricky question. Why do you think Max picked up his tail? Why do you think Max picked up his tail? Well, if I show you the text, it says Max picked up his tail and began walking down the beach. So he's picked up his tail because he's walking down the beach. Now, I think there are a few answers you could say here. Why does Max pick up his tail? Maybe the tail slows him down as it drags in the sand. Maybe the sand's really hot, so he's trying not to burn his tail. Maybe the tail always gets in the way of his feet when Max is walking. There's lots of different answers, but what your answer has to be, year 2, is sensible. Is this sensible? Why did Max pick up his tail? Because he was worried Luke Skywalker was going to hit it with a lightsaber? Or he was worried Mr. Wernit was going to spill his coffee on it? No, not sensible. Your answer with this sort of question must be sensible. So why do you think Max picked up his tail? I think it was because the sand was hot and he did not want to burn it. That is a sensible answer. There are different answers, but that's what I am going to go with. Question 5. How do we know Max was amazed with what he saw? How do I know Max was amazed with what he saw? So how do I know Max was amazed with what he saw? Well, let me go back to the text, and we know here it says, as he walked, he thought he saw something coming towards him. The someone looked rather strange. He didn't have any horns and he didn't have a tail. Max could hardly believe his eyes. That someone was a real boy. Max thought that the boys only existed in fairy tales. So how do I know Max was amazed? What phrase there tells me Max was amazed? Well, I think, year two, it says here, Max could hardly believe his eyes. When you're amazed by something, you might say, I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe my eyes with what I'm seeing. I'm amazed. So how do I know Max was amazed? It says Max could hardly believe his eyes. Max could hardly believe his eyes. How do we know Max was amazed with what he saw? It says Max could hardly believe his eyes. And obviously a capital letter for Max. Is it a sensible answer? How do we know Max was amazed with what he saw? Max could hardly, I spelled hardly incorrectly. Max could hardly believe his eyes. Well done. If you got all those right, really, really impressed. Your extension is, for this, what happens next? What do you think happened next in the story? Can you write 3 or 4 sentences? Do you think what will happen next? Or how do you, precisely what do you think will happen next? Well, anyway, good luck and very well done for this. Inference is difficult. Always have to be thinking. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your learning if you have more to do. Speak to you all later. Bye, everyone.